If people keep testing you, interrupting you mid-sentence, questioning decisions you didn't ask for their opinion on, pushing back on the smallest things, things that shouldn't even be a conversation, you've probably told yourself it's just who they are. Maybe they're difficult. Maybe they don't respect anyone. Maybe it's just a bad dynamic. But here's what nobody wants to sit with. It's not random, and it's not them. It's something you're signaling without realizing you're doing it. Every single interaction. Once you see what it is, you'll understand why certain people walk into a room and nobody tests them. Not because they're intimidating, not because they're aggressive, but because something in the way they carry themselves answers the question before anyone thinks to ask it. And you'll understand why others, maybe you, seem to attract testing everywhere they go. Different jobs, different relationships, different rooms, same pattern. More importantly, you'll stop responding the way they expect you to. Most people think testing is about dominance, like someone is trying to establish they're stronger, more important, higher up. That's not what's happening. Testing is a question. It's people, unconsciously, asking, can I push here or not? They're not always aware they're doing it. It's not a strategy. It's a read, an instinct. And the answer you give them, not with your words, but with your energy, your timing, your body, determines everything that follows. Here's the part that changes how you see all of it. People don't test you when you look weak. They test you when you look uncertain. Uncertain about your own reactions. Uncertain about where your edges are. Uncertain about whether you need their approval to feel okay about yourself. That uncertainty creates an opening, not because you're wrong, not because you're beneath them, but because you're available. Available to be moved. And people sense availability the way animals sense fear, instantly, without thinking. If this keeps happening to you, it's probably not because you're insecure in the way people usually mean that word. It's because you were conditioned, early, to keep things smooth. So you explain yourself before anyone asks. You soften your tone the moment you feel challenged. You rush to clarify when what the moment actually calls for is stillness. You learn that tension is dangerous, that silence is uncomfortable, that friction means something is wrong, so you resolve it, fast, and people feel that. When someone pushes and you immediately move, no pause, no shift, no weight behind you, their nervous system logs it. Not as a decision, as a pattern. I can do this here. That's why it repeats. Not with everyone, with you. Because you taught them, without knowing it, that the door stays open. The people who don't get tested don't argue back. They don't over-explain. They don't rush to fill the silence with justification. They slow the interaction down. They let the other person sit inside what they just did. And that pause, that stillness, answers the question louder than any response could. This matters. You don't stop being tested by becoming harder, or colder, or more aggressive. You stop being tested when your presence communicates something that most people spend their whole lives chasing. I don't need to prove anything here. That signal stops most tests before they even begin. When you stop reacting the way people expect, one of two things happens. They adjust, or they move on. Both outcomes work for you, because respect was never built on force. It was always built on certainty.